Hi and welcome to this short presentation from Billy Fire LLC on podcasting and how you can do it. So firstly, I'm going to explain what podcasting is, then give you my suggestion as why you should consider podcasting. Next, I'll show you how you can receive other people's podcasts, and then finally, how to create your own podcast. So first, what is podcasting? Well, if you go to Wikipedia, you'll see it defined as an audio or video digital media distributed by web feeds and delivered to portable media devices, e.g. an iPod, or it could be a personal computer. So why podcast? Well, we work and live in very, very competitive times, and so it's even more important that we convey information in a compelling way that makes people really want to sit up and listen. We also need to differentiate our businesses, make our businesses different from other people in the same space. And after all, not many people are podcasting at the moment, so this is a great way of differentiating your business. There are also SEO benefits. We're talking about audio podcasting, but for example with YouTube, if you create a YouTube video, a small thumbnail of your video will appear in the search results. With audio podcasting, Google Labs recently announced that they're using voice recognition software to transcribe all the speeches in this election cycle that we're going through at the moment in the US. Podcasting also allows you to repurpose information that you've created for another purpose. For example, you may have written a white paper. Well, why not convert that into a podcast? And that is because, the final point, different people like to interact with you in different ways. Some people love reading, some people love visiting a website or reading a blog. Others like to listen to a podcast. So that is another great reason for podcasting. So how to subscribe to a podcast? Something that reads a podcast is known as a podcatcher or a podcatching client. So a typical example of this would be iTunes. This is a screen from my iTunes, and the beauty of iTunes is once you have subscribed to various podcasts, iTunes will make sure that you are up to date with those podcasts so that you can listen to them at your leisure, and if you like, download them to an iPod or other MP3 device. Of course, there are other ways of doing it, and probably one of the more simple ways is to use a feed reader or a web-based podcatcher like Google or Yahoo. So, for example, if you wanted to subscribe to a particular podcast, many podcasts use FeedBurner, which is a Google service which converts feeds into feeds that can be used by many different services. So simply by clicking on, for example, my Yahoo or a Google link there, you will then find that the podcast you're trying to subscribe to will appear on your iGoogle page. So you can see here, I subscribe to several feeds, BBC News, Quality Funding Group, and you'll see that some of the Quality Funding Group podcasts appear on my iGoogle homepage. So that's how to subscribe, very simply. But how do you create a podcast? There are really three main things that you will need. Number one, you need a microphone and a computer. And I will suggest in a few moments some USB microphones which really produce great quality and will link directly into your computer via the USB port. Secondly, you need some software. I suggest you use Audacity, which is an open source piece of software that will allow you to record and edit your audio. That's a must. And then, in order to create feeds, a couple of options here. One is Feed for All, or another great option is WordPress, which is a blogging piece of software. But there are also some fantastic plugins which enable you to build your podcasts into your blog. And then finally, of course, probably the most important thing of all is you need something interesting to say. So let's look at the microphones. This is one of the microphones I use. It's a Samson CO1U. Samson have recently brought out some even more functional microphones than this one. But this is a great microphone, and as you can see, I've got it loaded into a spider mount here, which just reduces some of the vibrations from the environment. Another great microphone is the Blue Snowball, and this retails around $100 or so. Again, a great microphone. And not only that, it is such an interesting looking device that you put one of those on your desk, you're going to get a lot of comments from colleagues and prospects. What is that thing on your desk? Of course, you might wish to use something a little less expensive, and actually I'm recording this video using a Logitech USB headset. The audio is absolutely fine, maybe not quite as good as the other two microphones I mentioned, but certainly very, very clear and good to listen to. You also need some audio editing software, and I mentioned Audacity. The great thing about Audacity, it is an open source piece of software, and you can download that at audacity.sourceforge.net. One thing that will be missing when you download it is the ability to export MP3s, which is probably an important function. However, you can arrange to do that by downloading an MP3 DLL, and probably the simplest thing is just to look at the Audacity website and follow the instructions for downloading the lame MP3 add-on so that you can export MP3s. And this is just a look at the sort of way that Audacity works. You simply press the record button to record, the stop button to stop, and the play button to play. And as you look at the audio signature of your podcast, you can go through and literally delete ums and ahs and spaces and things you don't want. And when you've got it sounding just the way you want it, you can then export it to an MP3. Now, the other really important thing about podcasting is the feed, the web feed, and that is one thing that distinguishes podcasting from just audio on somebody's website. A real nice piece of software is Feed4All, which you can get from feed4all.com. It retails at about $39, and it creates podcast feeds, including some of the additional information that you need for iTunes. And I think that's pretty important, and $39 is not a huge amount of money to pay. This shows you how Feed4All looks. Remember, we're creating a feed, which is our show, and then we're creating items within the feed, which effectively are our episodes. But another really cool way of doing this, which I like, is through WordPress. WordPress is an absolutely fantastic piece of blogging software that allows you to add a load of plugins. One of those plugins is PodPress, which is a very comprehensive plugin for podcasting. It includes absolutely everything you need. And rather than reinventing the wheel and demoing that, I suggest you might go to www.mightyseek.com podpress/podpress tutorial, and there is at that address a really comprehensive tutorial as to how to install the plugin and how to use the plugin and all the features that it presents. So that is another great way of creating a feed for your podcast. So that is a very brief introduction. We offer some podcasting packages if you'd like some help getting started. You can email us at sales@billyfire.com or call at 877-877-2048. Thank you very much and have a great day.